right, thank you everybody so much for coming out for tonight's premiere of 50 for the City. It was incredible. A big thank you to all of our season ticket holders. We appreciate you always and coming out tonight. We now have an opportunity to talk to a lot of the people involved with the making of tonight's film. I'm Jessica Benson. For those of you who don't know, I host Rise and Grind for Grind City Media, and then I also do the Grizzlies pregame, postgame, and halftime shows on the Grizzlies radio network. But on our panel tonight, first up, I don't think he needs much of an introduction. It is Zach Randolph. Welcome. We are also joined by Chris Vernon, host of the Chris Vernon Show for Grind City Media and also Grizzlies Live on Bally Sports Southeast. Give it up. To my right, we have Michael Blevins. He's the creative video lead and senior producer responsible for tonight's film and also works for Grind City Media and the Grizzlies video team. So a tremendous job, Michael Blevins.
Great job. Thank you, Mike. Great job.
And then finally, we also have Chris Harrington, columnist at the Daily Memphian, who you saw featured in the film as well. All right, so we'll start here tonight, Zach Randolph, with you. And we heard that clip from your press conference when you got to Memphis. You just wanted someone to write a good article about you. You just got a documentary.
Wow.
What is your response to seeing this tonight and seeing it all come to culmination?
Man, it just really makes me appreciate the hard work I put in and, believing in myself and having good people along. My mother, they're not here with me. My brother, he's not here with me. But just having them people in my corner, Marcus and, my close friends been there. And, man, I work hard. And just, it's how God wanted it. I believe this was God's plan, to put me here to finish my career like this, to, how everything happened. And I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful, not just for them. I'm thankful for the people and, the people of the city and people for being here. That's what it's all about.
And I know this was your first time seeing it tonight, right?
Yeah.
All right, what was your favorite part of it?
Man, I'm ready to watch it again, everything. I mean, no, really, Mikey did such a great job. Just everything, how it went from the beginning to the end and, just the interviews and everybody did great. And, man, just the whole one.
They're saying the fight.
Oh, the fight? Yeah.
Blevins, for you, you've been working on this since last August. What was the process like for getting everybody involved to come out and speak on behalf of Zach Randolph?
So obviously this is our first jersey retirement as an organization, and we wanted to do something special. So it's going to be like an all-week thing. We're going to have the ceremony on Saturday, this post-game. It's going to be something that probably any fan base has ever seen before, like something pretty exceptional. So we want to do something special like this. So we started, with an idea, and Tim Jordan, who was in the documentary that's here, me and him talked, and then I talked to Ross from PR and kind of just got like a primer, like, how do we not make this, like I kept saying along the way, how do we not make it like a Wikipedia article? Like, this is what Zebo did here, this is what Zebo did then. Like, how do we put it all together? So the first person we got was Mike, and Mike, and that's the thing that kind of hopefully came through in the documentary. Like, everybody was about talking about Zebo. Like, Zebo is like, he's the ultimate litmus test for the league and the city in terms of, like, if you don't like Zebo, like, you're not cool. I was going to say an expletive, but so, like, everybody was aboard with him. Mike had, like, a practice for Utah, and he invited me to his house, and we shot in his house, and, like, his wife and his kids were all running around and stuff, and he's like, I got to get this done. His interview was like an hour and 45 minutes. And then we got Zebo, and then we started stacking people up, and it was a big process, I think, with the interviews, but I think hopefully it came across that, like, everybody in it, like, either loved or respect or both with Zebo, and hopefully that came across.
Chris Harrington, I'll start with you. They put me on a panel with two Chris's, so I'm going to have to use your last names each time. But so many memories to look back on in that. When you go and watch this film and get to relive them through the eyes of all the people who were involved throughout the way, which is your favorite on the court, Zach Randolph moment?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious ones are obvious for a reason, and that's the fourth quarter of Game 6 in 2011 against the Spurs. And I remember, this is some cutting room floor material, but I was sitting by the Spurs bench. So I was sitting right in front of the end of the court where Zach went off, where you ushered Antonio McDyess into retirement that night. But I was sitting next to an advanced scout from Oklahoma City Thunder, and I kept I was watching Zach destroying the Spurs, and I turned to my right, and I would watch the scout watch Zach, and his just eyes were big, and he just watching with like awe and fear. That was Bob Thornton, who later became your assistant coach for the Grizzlies. So I remember watching Bob Thornton watch Zach Randolph destroy the Spurs, and then the other one is obviously Game 6 in 2013, that Clippers game, which, you know, if you go back and find the game story I wrote that night, I was with the Memphis Flyer at the time. The timestamp on it is 2:45 a.m. It was just that night felt like a year. I mean, it was just an exhausting. It was just chaos. The whole fourth quarter of that game was complete chaos.
Verno, we get to hear from you on the Kendrick Perkins debacle. We'll call it that. But for you to look back, we only got
I thought
a
Perkins
snippet.
was going to be in it.
So
Perkins talked, right? He
we
talked.
No, we attempted to get him.
He declined too.
I don't want to necessarily say he declined, especially because he's such a Grizzlies fan now in post-retirement. But we talked on the phone for like 20 minutes about it, and then we couldn't connect in LA.
Is his version the same as Zach's?
I explained Zach's version, and then he laughed, and that's all he said. I am interested in that. So, like, that is the thing about that locker room. I mean, obviously, people aren't going to know. You see it in the footage, and a unnamed team, because we didn't play there this year, supplied me with that footage. Because we didn't have, I mean, we're not filming that hallway for reasons like this. So they gave me that footage, and hopefully you can tell that there is a doorway, and it's just very, like, diagonal from each other, the two locker rooms. So what they tell you is across that doorway is the Thunder locker room. So I wonder, like, did you cross the doorway or did you actually go in there? Again, as I told you at Privé, statute of limitations are up. Adam Silver can't come for anything.
You already got fined.
Yeah.
You got
I
fined
did.
for that.
I did. Well, I did go in the locker room. Just about 10 seconds. I did. And then police took me out of there. About 10 seconds. And that's why they find me more money. I'd be messing with Kendrick, telling him, man, you owe me some money, man. They find me more money than they find him.
Well, I love, because I'm talking to Mike, and again, Mike was so gracious this time, and we're like, he was the first one, so we're going ad nauseum through some of the stuff, and I'm like, well, what was Zebo like when he came back? And that's the quote where he's talking about he was talking to himself. He said, you just sat at your locker and you were just muttering stuff for yourself for like the entire time as they're sitting there. Because I'm like, did you hear him talk to the media or anything? He goes, no, he was just muttering. He was so pissed off.
It's true. I was like, rage. I was so mad. I had to talk to myself to calm myself down.
Well, I remember.
What was the process like of getting him on the radio show, for one thing?
I can't. I think we must have already had you booked. You know, because there's no way they would have
yes,
booked him.
right.
Yeah, right. And then I was like, well, you can't pull him now. And so he had come on, and I remember asking, and I think that interview will be on like a disc or that record that people can get when they come to the game on Saturday. But it's one of easily my top 5 show moments ever, because he was on one that day. He said like all of his quotes like ended up becoming a thing.
He said, I'm a jacking dude.
Yeah, I'm a jacking dude. I'm pretty good with these hands. But the way I knew the story was that the bust his butt mark, because I said, so wait, he wasn't even talking to you? And he said, if you're talking to Mark, you're talking to me. And people like ran with that one. And then the whole We Don't Bluff, right? That became like a big tagline with everything. Next thing you know, it's on towels and everything. And so, you know, you dream of something like that, right? That you're on the radio and then he comes on and he's more than willing to talk about it, right, at the time, because, I mean, it's pretty fresh in his mind. It's a moment. There's nobody. The fact that, you know, the microphone's right there, so when he says, I'll beat your ass, you can hear, everybody hears it, right? Like, it's very uncommon. You can watch a lot of NBA games, and there's not a lot of times that you're going to hear that.
I mean, We Don't Bluff got on a growl towel only because I'll beat your ass could not be put on a growl
Yeah,
towel.
right.
What I love about the towel, I wasn't here, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first time it was used on a towel, and maybe Pugs could tell us, was that Game 6 against the Clippers, right? Was that the first time it was used on a towel?
I believe that's
So
yeah.
he has his incident where he wants to paraphrase Mark, show his hands to Kendrick Perkins.
Yep.
And unfortunately, due to society's rules, he's not allowed to. So then he gets a chance to, and everybody's holding the towels with this saying.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Everybody laughed over it, but Lionel said after that comment, he goes, Kendrick was selling wolf tickets, which is like one of my favorite sayings ever. And then real quick on the Kendrick thing, I'm going through all the community footage, and I hope that did like a testament in terms of like what this guy meant for the city. But there was a gift basket or turkey giveaway in November, literally the next day after the Kendrick Perkins thing. And there's older women coming up to him going, why are you getting those technicals? What are you doing? And then there's some kid, doesn't want a gift basket. He just wants to come up to Zebo, and maybe I'll put it in the version that's on YouTube on Tuesday. But he's asking him, he's like, did you fight him? Like, what happened there? And, like, it's just like the juxtaposed thing of, like, everybody on TV sees the one thing, and then the next day he's at, Cummings or one of those schools giving out turkeys.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to the community effect, period. And we saw so much of that. And giving back to the city, not just with your money, but with your time. You showed up constantly. And I know even tonight, Allie Allen, who we saw in the documentary, she's here. She'll always wave
I
there
did not
in the
know you
audience.
was in here. You snuck in on me. What's up?
But to see her, to see Will, to see all of the people that you impacted, how does each one of those people from this city continue to stay with you today in all that you do?
Man, it's important. You know what I mean? Like you said, keeping the relationships and, just, having that love here. And, you never know. Monday I might move back and start doing more for the organization. I might be around the city more, more time than, move back. So, I love the city, this home, and, you never know. So, just like you said, keeping the relationships and, I still, like this home. So, all the relationships I had then and still now and they're better.
Yeah, everyone in here, I think, considers you family as well.
Y'all are my family.
Chris Harrington, you did talk about just kind of almost the Kismet effect of Zebo being who he is, Memphis being the city that it is, and that there are other athletes who could give back, who could donate, but it's just not the same. What is it about that relationship that was so special?
I mean, I can only sort of reiterate, what I said in the film is it's not just that the people were able to see themselves in Zach, but even more rare, Zach could see himself in the people, and there wasn't that distance there. There was that authentic connection that he had, and it's really special that Zach found his way. That Zach Randolph and the Grizzlies found each other. I was looking at this today, doing a little research, maybe for writing later this week. There's less than 200 players have had their jerseys retired by teams. Very few. The only one I can find that's even similar is Chauncey Billups in terms of a player finding his team that late into his career through that many stops. The Grizzlies were Zach's fourth team in, I think, your eighth or ninth year. And to have your jersey retired by a franchise when you come to them that way, it doesn't happen. It's just you and Chauncey. It was five different teams for him.
And I think, like you said, not having my jersey retired is more to it than just playing basketball on the court. It's not. That's why my number's not going in the rafters. And the city, they love me for my basketball, but they see the heart in me. They see, that where I come from, they see that it's genuine and that, that I want to see everybody do good. And, so it's just more to it than basketball. It's like, this is my city and it's genuine. And like you said, I've been around a long time and, I never had this feeling, either with guys in other cities, just played on different teams. Well, no guys in Portland, like in the community. It just wasn't that feel. So, man, it's just different.
More to it than basketball, too, and the relationships with your teammates, which was very fun to listen to Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, Tony Allen all give their memories of you. What's your relationship with those guys today, and how close do you remain?
Man, real close. They're my brothers, you know what I'm saying? I'm planning on getting to Utah, go check Mike out, and, me and Tony, and, I talked to Mark. So, them guys, we're all still close, and, we're going to be brothers for life.
Chris, I'll ask you, in terms of Zach Randolph and the ultimate pantheon of Grizzlies history one day, where does he stand?
Oh, I mean, I think Chris said it actually very well in the documentary. I mean, look, I'm sitting right next to him. What am I going to say?
Right, be careful. We saw the video footage.
He's number one. No, I mean, look, if there's a reason that his number is going up, and I think that if they all retired the day that Zebo retired, his number would go up first. That's what I would tell you. I think Zebo is the most important. I mean, look, they're all four of them are going to be beloved forever. So I'm not taking away from anyone, but he was the best player on those teams that took the entire city by storm. And there's so many people. There's probably a lot of people that are sitting in here that those are some of the best sports memories of their lives, or they grew up and they were at a certain age, or something significant happened in their life that they relate to that time. And so he was the guy. He was our guy. He was the all-star. He was the guy that was closing out Game 6 against San Antonio, right? And so he's at the very top. I mean, it doesn't matter what the record books say, right? Like the things that you do, I do think that you can always be a beloved player if you are a successful player on the court. But you cannot become a legend in a town unless you do all the stuff off the court like he did. Like that's how you become a true icon, a legend within the city. And I think it's very difficult to achieve. And a lot of guys don't reach out and touch the communities in which they play. It's their job. They go there, they play there, and then in the off season they go back home, or they got a place in Miami, or they got a place in California, or they got a place wherever. He was always around. He was omnipresent, and also totally unafraid to reach out and touch everyone. And so I think that kind of stuff, that stuff matters greatly. And look, you're gonna see a lot. I can't wait on Saturday night. I think there's probably about a 5-year span where there are very few people, whether it's a T-shirt or a jersey or some type of paraphernalia, don't own it, and they still own it. You know what I'm saying?
And you sold a lot of them.
I sold a lot of them, but they still own the stuff, right? I mean, and that's special. That's special.
Going back to your question on that, and I think there's a great line by Mike Conley in it where he says, I don't think Zebo knows how much he helped us. And I think hopefully it came across where everyone knows the history here, where it took Mike a long time to get going. Mark's history in terms of being traded for his brother and being a throw-in in that deal. Is he going to be anything? And, Tony offensively not being at the level of the rest of you guys. And Doris Burke talked about it. It takes a lot, and I think we forget about with professional athletes, to be the guy in the arena in terms of throw me the ball, and if we lose, it's my fault. If we win, I'm going to give everybody else credit, but it's on me. I think what Mike was talking about, those first 3 or 4 years, it was all on Zebo. And I think that, as he said, it helped Mark grow, it helped Mike grow. They didn't have to, shoot it 25 times a game. So now Mike was able to grow, and now he's at Utah, and he's able to be, more of a focus. Hopefully that came across. And I think if those 4 guys voted, they would probably vote him as probably the most important.
I think Feed 50 really turned into feeding the longevity of this Grizzlies team. And like all families, there's now the next generation of Grizzlies. What's your opinion on where this team is at right now and how connected?
Man, just this new generation and what the team is doing, the organization is great. I mean, crazy Ja, he's definitely future all-star, maybe this year. You never know. And, Jaren all-star. So Dylan, these guys are a young core. They're great. And not only that, I see the grit and grind in them. I see that team. I watch them. And I see that they taking it. Yeah, we the underdogs. And, I like that. And I'm watching them. I see they kind of taking on that mentality. And it's exciting.
Mike Mike said off camera once we finished, and hopefully he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, that he liked Ja because he saw Zebo and Ja in terms of he wasn't from the city like Zebo, but it's he is from the city, you know what I mean? And the way he helps people out, and he helps all his friends out and stuff like that, he extends his family, and I think that was the big thing with you, where you extended your family.
That's right. My family for life. That's right.
Family for life. Do have to ask you, though, because much was made going into this season. Anytime Steven Adams got interviewed, the poor guy, he had to be reminded of the good old days. What's it like seeing Steven Adams wearing a Memphis Grizzlies uniform?
Man, it's funny because I was in the gym, it was a training camp, and a couple, beginning of the season, and we just laughing and talking. But, man, Steve a good guy. He's strong, so, I don't want no problems with him. But now he a Grizzly, so he all good.
You always respected him a lot more, right? Than some of the other guys you got in tussles with.
I think we know who those other guys are at this point. We'll leave it at that. Everybody, that wraps up our panel from tonight's documentary. Zebo, thank you so much for coming, for being a part of this. Thank you all for being here and for your support of the Grizzlies. As always, make sure to come out on Saturday to see it in person. Zebo's jersey will hang from the rafters at FedEx.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.